Tracy Searles with Clean Freaks of Tulsa in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we are in our little boutique store here in Tulsa on a Saturday. I started the business in 2001, and during that time, that was I could say it's probably the best of times and the worst of times that year. I actually had quit my job at a hospital where I worked in a laboratory, and I had been doing that for 10 years. I was a phlebotomist and also like a lab technician as well. In 2001, I wanted to stay home with my 3 boys, and Colby's my youngest boy, and he probably, what were you doing in 2001, do you remember?
I was running around the house in diapers.
Yeah, you were 3, so I think you might have been potty trained by then. But
yeah.
So in the spring of 2001, when I decided to start the cleaning business, it was actually something that had come out of necessity. I had quit my job, and my mother-in-law at the time had a few houses that she was cleaning, and so when I probably stayed home for a couple of months, and she asked me to go with her to go clean a couple of houses, I went with her. We were probably the slowest people to clean your home because we really didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have a manual. There was nobody to train us. We just did it out of necessity. She was in a place in her life where she had several children that were still at home. I had my 3 boys, and we were just really living day to day at that time. And one of my things I distinctly remember is she took me to a food pantry type of place. It was actually at, I remember it was actually at a residential house or something, and we were in line to get like produce and stuff like that. And it was at that time that I knew that it's not that it was bad, but I didn't want to live like that. So I wanted to do something different. So we cleaned, and we did that for a couple months, and then our first big break was the PGA came into town in 2001, and she knew someone that got us a cleaning gig with some of the executives that were coming into town. Again, we just kind of winged it, and I thought, oh my goodness, like if I could do this and really do it well, we have something here that would be a vehicle to get us out of this financial position that we were in. After that, my mother-in-law had chosen to kind of exit the cleaning business. It was just her and I basically, and then later that summer I joined with my mother and my stepfather, and we started cleaning. And then in the fall of 2001, I created Clean Freaks because I wanted it to be a brand, and I knew back then, even though when I would tell people about it, and I was very excited that, hey, I want to have a cleaning business and we're going to do it differently, and I would share with people why would it be different, because we're going to pay women at the time. Now we have men and women, but at the time it was mainly women that would come to help me, and that this would be a vehicle so that you could in turn make enough money so that you can actually have a life for yourself instead of struggling day in and day out and paycheck to paycheck. And that was my vision for the company. So that officially in December of 2001, we became an official business, and it was Clean Freaks of Tulsa LLC, and that was shortly after 9/11 had happened, and a lot of things were really topsy-turvy at the time. It was, I just worked. That's all I needed to do, and I worked 7 days a week in the beginning. And over the years, I've just had to kind of scale that down, because one of my biggest things is just not, a lot of people will say, as a business owner, you shouldn't work in your business, you should work on your business, but I just had a little bit of different philosophy. And so it's been really an awesome journey, because I have met people throughout the year, some key people that have really been integral in helping us sustain the business. Not everybody that I have had come into the business has stayed in the business, but there have been people that have stayed, and one of them is my business partner, Laquita Leaf. And here's Laquita. So we met probably maybe a couple years after.
November 2003.
Okay, she has a better long-term memory than I do.
Yeah.
In 2003, and so yeah, go ahead. Why don't you?
Yeah, well, my name's Laquita Leaf, and I'm co-owner here at Clean Freaks. And I'm happy to be here today. Like Tracy said, we had our team meeting last night. We got some awesome pictures if you want to see them, Travis. So it's really nice to sit in a room full of people who appreciate the opportunities that we've been able to afford them. So that's kind of the present where it is right now. But thinking back when Tracy was talking, for me, what is always so, I can say miraculous, because it really kind of is, but it has a special place in my heart to go back and remember the beginning of anything. Because when you first start something, there's all that unknown, that excitement, but passion about, okay, what am I doing? What am I learning? Am I going to be any good at it? What's it going to look like? So stuff like that. And I've had a lot of that in my life, you know. But on this particular journey, you know, when in 2003, my husband had passed away in October of 2003. And my previous life had been, I raised my kids as a bartender, cocktail waitress. I owned bars, I managed bars, gave me lots of experience about how to be of service. And that was something I was able to turn around and put into this career as well. Because what I know about life and about people is that the amount of money that you make depends on how well you take care of them. And that goes, you know, and especially goes here too. So I was able to, I got an opportunity. That lifestyle didn't work for me anymore. I needed a total change, and I got an opportunity to go with a friend and clean some houses. And I thought, I don't know, you know, it's a brand new journey for me, so let's see. And I went with her. As it turned out, she was a miserly person that wanted to give me the crap job and pay me like $4 an hour. But I'd heard about, you know, who she worked for was Tracy and this and that and whatever. So Tracy asked to meet me, and I got a chance to come in and meet her down here at our little house over here on 21st Street. It's a little red house, little cottage style house. And I went in and met with her, and she said, she asked me about myself. And like I think I told you the other day when we were talking, she asked me about myself and who I was and where, you know, and I told her my husband had passed away. She said, are you okay? You gonna be okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You know, and I was. You know, I shared with her, you know, about my past, and what she said, which was very freeing for me, was she's like, I don't care what you did in your past, I care what you're doing now. Okay, well, here we go. You know, and so she started to give me, she lined it out, and I had requested, you know, really to kind of work for her, basically, instead of this other gal. And she lined it out how it was designed, and I'm like, it sounds too good to be true. It really sounds, and my experience, you know, having lived a very real life, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And so throughout the years, whenever I was recruiting and hiring and training people and mentoring them, especially even on my own team, that's what I've always said, is that this sounds too good to be true, but this is the only thing I've ever found in my life that it is what we say it is. And so for that very first year, I wanted to be good at anything that I wanted. I didn't want to chase the money. You know, and I'll be honest, you know, I get up every morning and I ask for God's will in my life, and tell him, I don't know what you have for me today, but whatever you have for me today works. And that's how, you know, that in the beginning, that journey, I still do it today. Sometimes I take my will back about noon or 1 o'clock. Anyway, in the beginning, I would do that, and I'd go throughout my day, and I would ask that I could do a good job in a timely manner. And because that was a big thing for me, I didn't want to get in there and obsess. And so I would go and do the clients that Tracy had given me. And, you know, I was a business owner under the umbrella of Clean Freaks. And so the name of my little team was Sparkling Clean Freaks. So I did that for a year. Like, I really trained myself. We had the products and the process and the pricing and everything to back you up. And all I had to do was go out and do the work. And so I did that for a year. And one day, and she, all throughout the time, I was watching her and you know, build a company, and we would always have team meetings once a month, and she would always talk about leadership opportunities, and you can build a team, and you can do this and do this. And I just wasn't one to try to grab more unless I was ready for it. And I woke up one morning and I thought, you know, I could probably take on any job that came my way, knowing what I know now. And so in that process, you know, I started to recruit and mentor and hire my own people. And build my own team. So I cleaned by myself for a year. Great, amazing things. I swear I won't never forget. And I'll tell you real quick, the first home and garden show I went to, we had created, they were this color, black shirts with this, it said, get your freak on. Now, at that time, Clean Freaks wasn't that well known, you know, in the Tulsa area, and it didn't say Clean Freaks, it just said, get your freak on. And I had long dark hair, it was poofy curled up, and I'm walking, I got on some tight pants, and I'm walking through the home and garden show, and all these people, and everybody's looking at me. I'm like, what are they looking at? What are they, you know, and I'm sure they're trying to figure out what my shirt meant, you know, but I remember going in there, and my financial status at the time was like nil. And because it was the very first home and garden show, and I remember going in there, and Tracy and I were working there together, the show together, and you know, I saw that the drinks were like $4 and something, you know, and I probably didn't have the money to do that. And so she said, you want something to drink? I said, oh no, I'm good, girl. So she goes and buys all this stuff. And I sometimes think about my financial situation at that time, where I was then and where I am today, which is way different. But it's because of my participation here, and it's because of, you know, really chasing the opportunity to be of service to our clients and the company that I work for and am a part of, and has helped grow to this point. But it was an amazing experience for me to build the team because I handpicked people and I would mentor them, the way that I had been mentored before in my life. And I gave them something, I gave them something to strive for. And we would talk at night about what they're going to do the next day. We would talk during the day. We would coach and pray with them, and just the whole 9 yards. And as my team started to build, I would go to Tracy and be about every 3 months, and because she would offer me this opportunity, I'm like, okay. But so I started doing it, and she was very busy with all the other people working, in the company as well. About every 3 months, I'd say, okay, what do I do now? She'd say, tell me okay, go do this, and I just go do it. And I'd come back and then she would just kind of surprised that I just took the direction. And so then about 3 months later, she'd just say, okay, go do this. And I'd just go do it. And it was simple things, even as far as purchasing my own checks that were, because I had started depositing the money into Sparkling Clean Freaks account. And then I rented a little office space from her there at our other store. And then I started doing my own accounting, and I would come in there 2 days a week, and I would kind of help out with the phone and kind of paid back for the opportunity. And I'll be honest, I got to a point where the amount of money that I was paying to the company as a whole, I was embarrassed because it was such a small amount. And I'm making this over the top money, right? And working less hours and making more. But it's great. It's just wonderful to be a part of it. And so I was even supposed to go to this next level, and I was like, I just felt uncomfortable with it because I felt like I wasn't giving enough back, because I'm all about, you can't be all take and no give. And so things started to, evolve more and more. And so at one point I'm out with my team and we're cleaning, and, things are going well. And the office called and says, they'd like for me to come in. And I'm like, okay, no problem with that. And then one of the gals that was helping answer the phone said, well, so-and-so called, she wants to be on your team, but since you're not going to be cleaning anymore, we're going to give it to somebody else. And I went, what do you mean? You know what I mean? So anyway, I went and I met with Tracy, and she offered me a partnership. And I kept saying, well, and it was to fold my team in. And I'm like, to me, it was such a generous offer because I only had what I had because I'd taken her direction, right? And so, it was just, but then she said, okay, but, here's the thing, I can't afford to pay that much, so it's gonna be like, this much. And so basically I took like a half of a cut in pay, and I took on double work hours for that. And I said, I am bad about making split decisions. I wanted to be sure that it was exactly, so I stepped away. I said, let me think about this, and I'm gonna get back with you. And she just said, okay, well, please let me know pretty soon. So my daughter and I, who worked with me, we went down to P.F. Chang's and hid in the corner because we'd been cleaning all day. We really looked bad. But we just hid in the corner, and I just prayed about it. I was like, okay, God, what am I supposed to do? And what God said is, what do you have to lose? And I went, you're right. And so I texted her, called her like right away that evening and said, absolutely, I'd love to do it. And so that's how we started our journey together, in the company. And we had, my gosh, we've had so many amazing experiences, but like I said, those beginning years, and just I have to tell you one funny thing is because, so I had this big computer on I had a desk, never had a desk in my life ever. And so I had this big computer on my desk that a friend had bought me at a garage sale. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't have any idea. Like literally no idea. And I told Tracy, I said, okay, I'm gonna go sign up for some computer classes and some business classes that go down here at TCC. And so she said, girl, we ain't got time for that. You'll figure it out. And I went, okay, I figured it out, and I sure did. I went from there to now, and so I know my way around things pretty well. And so it was self-taught, just like everything else in my life. I would stay later at the store because I took on answering the phone and booking the jobs and mentoring the team as a whole, my team and the rest of the team. I took on hiring, I did training, I did Clean Freaks University, which is like a 3-day class. We'd have all the girls in there. I just did it all. A lot of times I'd still be there at 7:30 at night. We had a little courtyard out back when the squirrels and the rabbits were there, and I'd be out there with the cordless phone, answering jobs and booking things, and just it was really passion. And so what I did is I approached running our business the way I had been taught, with spiritual principles. Do the right thing because it's the right thing, and it's not always the easiest thing, and to keep your word. At the end of the day, integrity is all you have. And so I define integrity by honoring my word, and not that you can't keep it perfectly all the time, but if I can't keep my word, I call it making a promise. You know what I mean? It's like I said I was going to do this. I can't do it today, but I promise I'll get back to you tomorrow. And so simple stuff. And I taught myself how to run a business from her example, and I got connected with other people to mentor me that was in business. And because I always want somebody ahead of me on the path that has what I want, not financial or whatever, but that really I want to emulate how they do things and stuff like that. So that's that thing for me, is because it's kind of like a chain. You have somebody over here and then you have somebody over here. And as long as you're pulling, you're getting pulled up this way and you're pulling somebody from behind. And at the end of the day, it turns out to be a really good life journey.
Well, you hear the term sweat equity, and that's basically the premise of what is available, because we've had other people in the past that have wanted to invest, and we're just not about that. So in this situation with Laquita, it was more like, you could say, a sweat equity thing. It was a trust. First of all, it was all built around trust. You trust me, I trust you, let's do this together. And there's no buying into the company. You have to just work your way up from the bottom, and everybody has to know what the basics are. And for some people, it's not for them. They want to just stay. I always want to clean houses, and that's fine. That's great. But the real vision was that I could find people, and trusting that I could find people, and that would be my prayers. God, please send me the right people at the right time. And in this situation, it was Laquita, and our paths just crossed at the right time when she was in a place in her life where she was ready to do something different. I needed somebody that I could trust that would ride it through in the long term. And she did, it was just, like I said, it was all built around the fact that, hey, do these things. And then I just knew from what my experience was that those things would work. And, at any given time, she could have said, well, I'm just going to, reinvent the wheel and do it my own way. But she trusted the fact that even me knowing that there's no guide for it, there's no handbook, you just have to grind it out. That if I can grind it out, and you're probably tougher than I am, then you can grind it out too, because she's a tough broad. She can grind it out too, and together we could do something phenomenal. And it was just, I felt like the business was growing so fast. It was just, that was my destiny. As a child, you don't think about, well, when I grow up, I want to be a housekeeper. No, that's not, usually in the industry, that he's giving me, the boss over here, the CEO is telling me, tell him about this.
But the cleaning convention, it
sure.
speaks to that.
So I did, and then when I took Laquita on a few things, it was happening, we were growing so fast that our head was above water. We were a little bit of a target for other people in the industry because they thought they must be doing something illegal, but it was just, that's really what true destiny is. It happens so miraculously that you can't stop it. And I don't know, I couldn't go back, and there's no manual for me to tell you that, we did do like what Laquita said, there were things in place. We had, certain key things like, the pricing and this is how you clean the house. But as far as the bigger picture of people coming in at the right times, clients coming in at the right times, we met certain people. Some people we still have to this day that were our clients. Some clients have left. But that I had taken Laquita to a cleaning convention, which is a worldwide convention that at that time was in Las Vegas. And I wanted her to see the bigger picture, because it's important to know, what kind of goes, I wanted to become educated on not just what goes on in Tulsa, but what goes on in the industry as a whole, so that I'm not limited in knowing certain types of facts. Like what are people doing in terms of when they're dealing with certain types of cleaning situations, pricing, those types of things. So I took her, we went in, I think probably around 2005 or so, we went into a specific class that was for residential cleaning companies. And at the time they were giving, I think they were talking about policies and procedures possibly for employees. And when the key speaker, she was very much looked up to in the industry as one of the leaders in the industry at the time, and they referred to, and there was a lot of talk within the room about your employees and how you need to treat your employees like robots. And I almost would kind of turn my head must have spun around, but I just looked at Laquita and I said, really? Did she just say that? And that's where I felt like it was maybe a light bulb went off. I knew we're just different, but for Laquita to experience that, and I think that she probably had to, you could speak more than I could about absorbing the information of what everybody else was doing, and we wanted to do something different because obviously we have to abide by certain safety rules and things like that, but I want our staff to feel comfortable. I don't want to hire anybody that's just here to do a job and be a robot and you to clean it this way. I trust that you're a free thinker, you're gonna get the job done, and most of all that you love what you do and you're not going in a house with 5 people and you're just another number in that house, that we do have relationships with our customers. That's a huge no-no in the industry. Some companies have done it. I just trust, again, it's all built around trust, that I want you to get to know your clients. I mean, what better way to because your clients need to trust us and you in their home. And I personally wouldn't feel comfortable having different people in my home. But at that time, when we went to our convention and Laquita got to see that for herself, I think that kind of was an eye-opening experience for her. And it really did set the tone for us to really understand what we had in our hands versus how we're different than other companies in the industry.
Quick story about that. When we went to the Las Vegas convention, and I'm pretty much happy, joyous, and free most of the time. And we walked and we'd bebop through there and talked to people and went to classes, and I was so excited. And I had a plan. That was my plan, and I told her all along, I was like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find somebody ahead of us ahead of me on the path and on the journey, and I'm going to introduce myself and ask if I can call and stay in contact and blah, blah, blah. Somebody with their business was more evolved than ours, because up until that point, we had really just had our head down, just work. People call, they book, the girls, the money, the book, the problem, just day in and day out, and not really, and people around here were, oh gosh, you guys are so successful. Well, we didn't look up enough to take credit for that or really to acknowledge that. We were just busy. We were working. And so we went to this, and it was super fun. And I swear, we walked around the whole thing, and she knew this was what my goal was, right? And so we walked around this whole thing, and it was the last day, and we were leaving. It was the last time, it was on a Sunday, and we're leaving. And I come out there with my bag full of goodies that I got, and I'm in front of her, and I take probably 6-8 steps, and I stop in my tracks and turn around, and she's looking at me and she's doing this. Because she knows me, you know what I mean? And she knows she's looking at me and doing this, and I went, there wasn't anybody. There wasn't anybody that I would have cared to take advice from or direction from, because of the difference in the way that we run our company. And not like we were all that, I'm not saying, we're top of the hill. We were definitely climbing to the top of the hill, but we were doing it in a different kind of way. And so there wasn't anyone that I had found, and so she knew. I was like, and that was such an eye-opening awakening for me of what we really had. And I came back with maybe a renewed responsibility for what we had here, because it's not just about cleaning. And so that was funny. She does that to me all the time. Another quick story. We're down in Branson. We're shopping in Branson, and again, I'm bebopping, probably walking several steps ahead of her or right beside her, and she's counting down. I'm not paying attention. She's like 5, 4, 3, and I'm like, ooh! And it was a sparkly shirt in the store, because she knows if I see something sparkly, it's like this squirrel. We got to go to the store. So that's kind of.
So we complement each other.
Yes, we do. But she's counting down until I see the shirt.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I'm more of a jeans and t-shirt gal. She likes the sparkles.
I like bling.
But yeah, so that is what we set out to do. I personally, at that time when Laquita had come in as a partner, that was the first and probably only time that I actually had a desk. I'm more of again, I came from the medical field, and so there was a lot of patient interaction, and that is the part that I absolutely loved. I did not like the politics of being in a hospital, the constant, is it gonna, are we going to get our hours cut, or are they not? I mean, it was very volatile. I mean, I haven't been in that realm for a long time, so from what I understand, it's still sort of that way, in a way. Things have changed, hopefully for the better, but really, I know that what actually happened when I was working at the hospitals, they would call you. I'd have back then they had a pager, and so your pager, and I had 3 little ones at the time, and the pager would go off at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, hey, can you come in early? So what I did was I just took that same commitment to what I did with patient care, with being a good employee, and I put that time and effort into a business that really yielded me much greater results than I could have if I would have just been exchanging my time for dollars. And I was able to infuse in some creativity, just again, even wanting to help others. It's just not a handout, but you're gonna have to work for it. The cleaning business is a really tough industry. So if I found some really sharp people that wanted to work, and it is physical work, but they wanted to put their time and effort in something and the offer's still on the table to this day. I'm really hoping and looking for the next generation of people to come in, which is where Colby comes into play. Not that I felt like my kids that it was a given, because I've had them work in and out of the business over the years. And as a family business, you always hope that your kids will be involved. You can't make them do it. They have to go out and experience life on their own and see what it's like. But so that Colby, went off to college, and he would tell me, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'd say, okay, that's great, that's wonderful. So we weren't necessarily counting on the fact that he would come back. And the other thing too is, I want people to have other things going on outside of just working all the time. If you don't have other interests, then you may not be the best fit. Laquita already had been committed to some other things in her life. I had things that I had envisioned about what I wanted to do personally outside of the company, and Colby then was on his own path and what he's been doing with his military career, and we went off to college, and so he's had to earn his way too.
And we didn't know if it would be a good fit.
And we didn't know. We gave them those tests.
Yeah, it wasn't a given. It wasn't like a guarantee.
Yeah.
We thought, okay, well, this child is going to do this,
Right.
Yeah, because we've had some experiences with children before that, hasn't worked out.
We've had all kinds of family members work in the business.
Right.
So from my own personal account about the business, obviously I've grown up around the business, and from my early childhood, as these stories are going on in the background, as a kid, I'm just I'm just in it, right? I should, kind of like what Laquita was saying. She's at 21st, she's doing her thing, getting her little area situated. And I remember, I really remember, like my mom would do open house events. It would be totally packed. She'd do the whole 9 yards in terms of making sure it was top notch. As she went from 21st to 31st, that was kind of like what I feel like kind of set Clean Freaks, in that location where we got the clientele list that we have today, because we were right off the highway. So people could see where it was, and everybody knew what Clean Freaks was, because you're heading into downtown, you just can't miss it. And throughout that time, I remember the first time she opened up the retail store, and I walk in and I'm like, oh, this is cool, not really understanding, obviously, all the, kind of like what Tracy was mentioning earlier, the sweat equity it took to build that. And as a young kid, I'm obviously receiving a lot of the benefits that come with my mom's success. So with that comes a appetite for success of my own. So kind of like what Tracy was saying, I then, from high school went to college, and thankfully I graduated on time, and I got my commission as an officer, this was never there was no guaranteed deal. There was no hey, Colby's gonna come. It was just at the time we were kind of figuring out what was gonna happen, and I was transitioning from what I thought was going to be my career at the time. I really thought what I was involved in at the time was going to be my career, and that was what I was going to do, and that didn't really see its future. So I reached out to my mom in the middle of what was probably the worst recession that I think Laquita and Tracy ever experienced, which was when the pandemic was happening. And so obviously the job market was non-existent. So I reached out to my mom, and I'm like, hey, here's my situation, and my mom, was like, okay, you can come on board, and we'll see how this works. And that's where I formally came in, and at the time, things here with the company itself weren't in an ideal situation. I mean, obviously we're facing a pandemic. The culture wasn't ideal, I believe, and then just kind of where we were sitting, we were in a tough situation. We had to make things happen, and so I recognized that. Thankfully, I was able to recognize that, and I was willing to do like what it took to get us in an ideal space in terms of, you know, this retail store. You know, I was like, hey, I'm gonna need to volunteer on Saturdays because we gotta sell some vacuums. You know, we gotta make some stuff happen. And so I think that's what, whether it's me or anybody else, I think that's what Tracy and Laquita really look for. They're looking for people that take it that serious. And outside of my mom being my mom, you know, I looked at this just as a business in itself because, yeah, I mean, Tracy didn't put any pressure on me in terms of saying, you know, hey, you gotta be involved in my business, or, you know, we're just not gonna have a relate or anything like that. And so whenever I look at this, industry, I see a lot of potential based on what they've seen. Kind of like they were saying, you know, at the time, whenever they went to the convention in Las Vegas, they were already blowing people out of the water. And so now we're in a new era. And so I'm like, okay, if you guys are already blowing people out of the water then, I mean, imagine what we can do now with how things go with YouTube and some of the other opportunities. And so, yeah, I see that potential now, and I saw that potential then. How I was perceiving things, I didn't know how we were going to get to that place. But yeah, kind of like what Tracy and Laquita said, I was in my own capacity, I was in that unknown understanding of like, this is the vision I have for the business. How I'm gonna get there, I don't know. But the great thing is that, you know, the new era of people my age, everybody wants to be perceived as an entrepreneur. But the one thing that I have on my side is I got two people that have 20 years of experience in the business, and that's something you can't buy. That's just, and that level of coaching and facilitating allows me to, whenever I come up with ideas, they're able to facilitate the idea in a fashion that is going to be absorbed to its fullest potential, which is awesome. So, you know, I have for example, I had an idea about doing what would be perceived as quarterly reviews, and they're able to sit me down and say, hey, you know, instead of calling it that, which that is what it is, but let's put it in a fashion that is tailored towards our company, that makes it more absorbable with our employees, so we can get more out of it. And we've been doing that, and it's been fantastic. You know, getting the retail to a place where now we have our own online store where people can pre-purchase before they come in, and having people that want to take things to the highest level is also awesome. You know, one thing Tracy and Laquita don't cut costs on is our quality of product. And even if I wanted to do something with a different company at the highest level, you got to have people at the top that understand that vision and have those same you know, morals and values, kind of like what Laquita spoke about earlier, and the fact that it was pretty much already set here, and I'm able to just come in and bring ideas that take it that much further has been awesome. So, and even in my own capacity, Laquita talks about the transformation she's had with the business. I can personally attest that I've had that same transformation as a person, and not because I'm Tracy's son, or, you know, it's that type of relationship, but I totally think that outside of me, she would do that for anybody. But you got to have people that are willing to absorb that level of wanting to go to the next level. And so, you know, that's, thankfully, Laquita took that position. That's why Laquita.
Thank you, Laquita.
Yeah, that's why Laquita's at where she's at as a business partner. And I know, you know, I know in that situation, if let's say Laquita at the time was like, hey Tracy, you know, I'm gonna go the other route. You know, Tracy's just one of those people that understands that if people aren't ready, people aren't ready. But she wants people that want, even if they're not ready, she's gonna do what it takes to get you ready to go to that next level. And so, yeah, this is a place of growth, and we're gonna do that for anybody that communicates on any capacity that, hey, I want to go to the next level. We're gonna be those people that can facilitate that level of success, because, yeah, people communicate that it's lonely at the top. We want it to be the opposite way. We want everybody. We want friends, family. We want everybody at the top. Is that realistic? Unfortunately, no. But we want as many people at the top that can join us. So that's what I have to say.
It's awesome. So I know, in life they talk about I think there's very few people that you can really honestly say, I could not have done this without this person. And I feel like we're in a place now that, for sure, without Laquita, I believe we could not be in this place. I can't do it by myself. Most people can't, kind of like what Chloe was talking about. It takes a group effort, but when it comes right down to it, there are very few people you could say that about. Just even with, the nice thing is with Colby kind of bringing up the next, you could say, generation, I guess you could say, with his age group, now we're seeing that the team that is coming in now is about your age. And when I started the business, I was closer to your age than I was. And so if that makes sense. So now I actually had people that were a little bit older than me when I first started the business, and now things have shifted over 21 years so that we have younger people coming in, and now I feel like, oh, I'm their mother, or I'm not their grandmother yet, but kind of more of a mother figure, I guess you could say, just because of the age difference. But when a few years ago, I don't know, it's maybe been like 5 years ago, we had a bigger location, and now we have obviously moved into half the size of location. But I had felt that, hey, we need to be kind of looking, I don't want to look too far ahead, but we need to look into the future. This was obviously pre-Colby coming in. And that we wanted more of a long-term sustainable situation. So for us, it's more about the quality, not the quantity. In business, a lot of times you're told opposite. Like, if you're not continuing to grow and grow and grow, then you're just dying. And we purposely have stayed pretty small. We have about 25 team members right now. We'll keep it around that because we just feel like I don't want to compromise the quality. We are all hands-on owners. Colby and I go and we take care of a client ourselves once a week. Laquita and I have gone on several, don't tell anybody. You're not supposed to, don't tell anybody. But, we do get our hands dirty. I don't normally sit behind a desk. That's just not, what I'm real passionate. I'm passionate about going and meeting people and taking care of them. And we all are, but obviously the desk work has to be taken care of. That's Laquita doesn't.
The reason I'm laughing is because she had.
It's hard to get get me to stay still.
Oh, I have to be really careful to not let her clean all the time. I have certain people that I would choose.
I know.
They call and go, okay, you're special. I'm gonna send you my very best person.
Yeah. So again, it's just those things you hear about, in business. I just say, whatever fits what you have going on, and that's not necessarily always true, but that works great for us, so that we can have quality relationships with our staff and also, Laquita talks to a lot of the clients personally. They have a personal cell phone, so we purposely want, like I said, we have other things going on outside of Clean Freaks for sure. We have we are more now in the hospitality space, and without my husband, Steve, that would not be made possible. There's no way I could do that without his participation. So it's a great combination of people who they're not just in it, they're like, we're all in. This is not, we don't think about, well, if this goes south, what's gonna happen? When the pandemic happened, thank goodness we had pre-downsized before COVID happened. And we were in a place where we don't carry very much debt at all. So it wasn't like we were over our heads. And that's the blessing of starting a business with no money, because it was always kept that way. So in other words, I wasn't worried about, oh, we've got this, $1 million loan we have to pay off. We've never been in a position to where we were heavy in debt. So thank goodness, it probably was our saving grace. We actually had people that had asked us how we, a lot of people ask, how are you doing? How did you make it through COVID? And we had struggles for sure. There's no doubt about it. I've never seen anything like it. We've gone through at least two large recessions. I mean, when the housing market crashed, that was actually our best year. Honestly, I think it was because you had a situation occurring in people's homes where if the spouse or partner had to go back to work, they would say, there's no way I'm cleaning this house. So they called us because we helped bridge the gap for them and provide that for them, so that, because you can only spread yourself out. And we recognize that with homeowners, is that, you're dealing with, if you have children, you're dealing with children and children activities, and and who does your cooking, and who does your laundry, and we're just another thing that would take off that stress, which is a big stressor for people because they don't have the time to do that. And that's what's so awesome, is that we recognize that even as just human beings, and not just, we're running a company. And I believe a lot of people in the industry, if they are at that level, I'm not saying they're not involved. That was just our take on it, is we wanted to definitely be in with our people. And I love cleaning, and that's why I said she has to rein me in. I love going out and just cleaning, and it's fun because especially when we have a big job, everybody brings snacks, and we're in a big new construct clean, and everybody, it's just like we're there, but we're actually having like a mini meeting or a way to connect, and I love that. And I wish I could do more of that if I had more time to do that, but I do take advantage of when there is a situation. I'm the first one to say, well, maybe I can participate, and she'll say, now hold on a minute.
Just wait.
And bring it back.
Many times we've taken the phone with us in the book, and the picture, and book job while we're out cleaning.
Yeah.
It's like, we just do whatever.
Right.
Just make it happen.
Right.
We're make it happen, girls.
Yes. And a lot of people have thought through the years that we were part of the franchise. We are the Clean Freaks that owns the registered trademark. There are a lot of other Clean Freaks out there, and that's okay. They're in other states, other cities, and that's great. But it took us a while to get that, to earn that, to get that trademark. So we're really proud of that. But yeah, we get confused a lot with some other Clean Freaks, but we're just a simple local, I can say mom and pop shop.
Family
now with the retail, yes.
But now we have Chloe, we have to rethink all of that.
Yeah, we got to redo all that.
Family owned and operated.
Yeah, and we've always been that way in some kind of capacity with, like I said, when family members have come and worked with us, maybe for a short period of time. My stepdad actually worked until he was probably 80. And he was the kitchen guy, and everybody loved him because he would just stay in the kitchen and clean the kitchen. He got Parkinson's, and so he physically could not do the work anymore. But that's kind of where he left his, he was in the military and had a great military career for a long time, and then he retired from that, and then he was just in a place where, let's go and do some cleaning. And they did that for my mom, and stepdad did that for about 8 years. And until, like I said, he couldn't do it anymore. So, yeah, and on we go. I would love to see I'm really hoping that some of our team members will kind of step up to the challenge. You can't force that. That's something that they have to do. I would love to see that happen because I believe that it's time. It's been, 20. Laquita was the one. I had several people that were in Laquita's same position that, maybe we had like about 6 or 8 of y'all, that we would talk about opportunities, and she was the one who and it wasn't like it was some, overnight miraculous thing. She just did step by step of this is what it takes, and it's a step-by-step process. Most people want to skip through the process and just get right to the goods. And I do feel, and she was the one who did it, which is why I believe it's an appreciation, because it wasn't just handed to her. But I would love to see some people step up to kind of take the baton and go with it into the next 10 years, to the next 20 years. Because that's what our goal is. It's a sustainable business that can continue on. We'll see who are going to be the ones to do that. Hopefully this guy will.
Yeah. I'd like to see the business just reach its fullest potential, whether that's one location, we got 25 employees making really good money, and we got a client list that's fantastic. I mean, our clients now are fantastic. But just whether it's that or, whether it's, we got a couple of really solid locations. I don't know, I think my ideal situation is just taking CleanFreaks to its fullest potential, whatever that looks like. If it's one location, that's it, and we're like, hey, this is all it's going to be. I can totally be content with that.
He would share these things with us, and he has, and I think it's wonderful. But I'm like, it makes me tired. I know, and I think it's, and that's what we're right, and that's what's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's an opportunity for the younger generation to have a vehicle that they can now take into their future, and because they do have the energy. I had that energy at one time. And then I raised 3 children, and we've been through lots of other types of, life events, and, we're kind of in a different chapter in our lives, and that's great. And I'm happy for the new ones coming in.
Yeah, I think if it's done correctly, big picture, I don't see why CleanFreaks can't be the Chick-fil-A, Quick Trip, of the cleaning industry. I just don't see why that can't be we have everything that you need to make it happen. We already, the hardest part, and that speaks to another thing, the hardest part of getting this business put together has already been done. So, the only thing that I really need to contribute is just some finer things, but, the contracts with Miele, our contracts with SIBO, getting with Melaleuca, Tracy and Laquita have already got that platform ready. So all we got to do is communicate that and really execute on it. But I don't see why CleanFreaks can't be the face of the cleaning industry. So that's my vision. But kind of like what Tracy and Laquita also recognize, you got to have people that share that vision with you, or you can't do this on your own. It's just not possible.
Right.
So I got to have people to join me, but I think CleanFreaks can be the face of the cleaning industry. That's what I think.
You see those things, and people automatically think it's an overnight sensation, and it takes 20, 30, 50 years sometimes to, and that's the beauty of it is, and that's what our hope is, that Laquita and I, as we age, we're not going to age, but we're more in the background, and our contribution is a different kind of contribution. It's still definitely, I feel, a contribution from behind the scenes to allow to have some talent show up, and then take it to. It would just tickle me to death to see some young, and they don't necessarily have to be young, but some people step up and realize it, because we are, one of the things we did do is we're the only, I can't speak to it right at this moment, but I know back then we were the only residential cleaning company that actually had a retail store. So that really made a difference for us, because people can come in off the street and ask about services and things, instead of, we're not in a office setting, in a office building. We've always had an open door policy with all of our customers, and then they can come in, and even house cleaners come, and we have lots of house keepers that come in. Some of them have asked us about advice, which that's great. That's part of why we're in the industry. So it's not just about CleanFreaks as, we're in our own bubble. We love to share information with others in the industry. We have lots of people that come in that have housekeepers that are not part of CleanFreaks. They come in and buy from us at our retail store. So it's a community. It's not, like I said, just about CleanFreaks has these trade secrets, because we're actually going to share all these things in our YouTube, Keeping It Clean channel, and we want to share all of it, to what the behind the scenes look like, how do we do things, what our process is, to sharing that with other fellow house cleaners in the industry, the people that do it themselves. If you clean your house yourself, which most people don't like to do, but we feel like we've kind of put the fun back into cleaning your home, because we really do have some neat products and tools and equipment, and that's like a key thing. You have to have those things, or otherwise it's just another mundane chore that nobody looks like forward to doing. So
if the goal is to be the face of the cleaning industry, our goal is to obviously be the face of YouTube in terms of properly cleaning things with the right products, I think. And I think that's even up until this point, the views that you'll see on the videos, I have a bunch of views, the difference on even how we do it and what products we use is what's going to separate us from them. So, and once we get that out there, I think it's going to be pretty clear that they're going to watch our video instead. So to be kind of like what you're saying, like whether it's clean a toilet, shower, a room top to bottom properly, I think us being that main source of knowledge compared to other people on YouTube. Yep.
Go ahead. Did you want to go?
Well, yeah. It just
You go.
when you ask those questions, it kind of takes me back to, what is our goal for YouTube and stuff like that. I can remember some time ago in creating this phase of my life. I did an education called Landmark Education. Anyway, you got to create the possibilities of your life, and so something that really spoke to me and my soul was to be known, and not to be known in a way of famous or vanity or anything like that, but to be known for who we are in the community, and to be known for what we do, to be known, like really for who we are and what we stand for. So.
Well, my goal is just to bring a lot of fun back into the company. When you've been doing this for so many years, you can feel like it does become somewhat redundant, and then you get tired, and then you lose sight of, like, when we did it in the beginning, we had a lot of fun. We laughed, we still do laugh a lot and things like that, but what I want to do is bring the educational portion to it. So I'm not going to do a video about how to clean a toilet. I mean, my gosh, there's millions of those things out there, but I want to teach you how when you want to use bleach, let's use it this way as opposed to this way, and you'll get two different results. And show you, like, you're going to use this tool instead of this tool in this situation. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be educational. It's a tool for us to use for our own staff. It'll be done totally different than what's out there right now, because I do believe that along the way, that's one of the things that I can say personally is I didn't want to just go through the mundane task of cleaning somebody's house. I wanted to know what everything is out there. So if you ask me a cleaning question, I can answer any cleaning question that you may have. I'm not going to just throw in, like, here, use a can of Comet. I'm going to teach you why not to use that versus using something different, but you're going to get the same, you're going to get the results are going to be the results, and you're going to get the results that you want. What we've done is, just, like I said, put the fun back into.
Yeah.
We try to put the fun back into cleaning by using.
And sometimes what I think really is funny is when a lot of people have the idea is like, it's cleaning. It's not rocket science. But the reality is there are so many people think to clean a toilet means to lift up the lid and swish the bowl. That is not the way we clean a toilet. We clean a toilet just like we do everything else. As an overall whole thing, we start from the top, we work our way down. It's such a selling point when I'm on the phone talking to people, telling them what we do. We get the around the bottom, behind the toilet, where the screws are, where the lids are. Like, we're detailing out many times. Our girls, when I clean, I got my head in there. See, look at what's going on. I mean, it's cleaning. It's really having a relationship with the toilet, making it clean, making it be the very best that it can be.
Yeah.
Be one with the toilet, and be proud of the result at the end of the day.
Right. And
so a lot of people don't realize that. They think that's cleaning the toilet.
Well, we've been asked a lot of, like, what are our tricks and tips, and there's really no trick to it. You just need to have the right equipment. You have to have the right supplies to be efficient, and we'll do that. But we're going to show a lot of behind the scenes too, as far as, like, what does it take to run a company. That's what makes us different, because you see the faces of the people that are making it happen. We don't do group shots of just
Yeah.
I mean, we do that, but I guess we have a more personal touch that we bring, so that we want to get to know our people, because those people, like I said, they're in people's homes. So if I don't trust you, then you're not going to go, and we trust everybody. But if that trust is breached in any way, then you're just, unfortunately, you're not part of our team anymore.
We have deal breakers.
Because we don't compromise that,
Right.
So yeah.
Everything else can be talked about, worked and coached through, but there are certain things you just, I'm sorry, on a professional level, this doesn't work to be part of this team. I've had some really kind of heartbreaking conversations with girls that I had lots of high hopes for, and one of the other things for the YouTube thing is I'm excited. What I kind of can see from what everybody else has talked about is really getting in on some of those one-on-one personal conversations, because we've got to witness girls that have came in and literally started with help from the state, DHS, and stuff like that, and they worked their way up to where they built their credit, they bought a new car, they bought a new house, they have gotten married, they've gotten pregnant, they've had babies. We've had, one-on-one conversations, where that all of that information comes in and is shared with us. And so I'm excited, in that realm of being known, for all of my girls to be able to do that too. Just because I know I feel like we're really in a honored position to have a front row seat for their life and to get to pour into people. And because in turn, and they can go and do it for others as they go, kind of along.
No, but we have fun. So having a farm is something I've always wanted to do. That was one of my first loves, but it's hard to do that when you are just living paycheck to paycheck, or you're just getting by, or you're below. There's like broke, and then there's below broke, and you're just trying to get your head above water. So I've never given up on that. It's always something I've thought about. I've envisioned it. Clean Freaks has been a vehicle to make that happen. The great thing is that we have done life together, and so what has been important to Laquita is important to me, and vice versa. So to be able to make that happen has taken, it's not like I'm going off and doing it and everything else gets cut off. It's just an extension of what we do. We're in the hospitality space now. But funny thing is that I think about these things, and then it may take a few years to get for that to happen, because it's like my brain goes there, but yet it sometimes seems like I just made a quick decision, like, you're gonna buy a farm. And it's like, I always thought about having a farm though. So when I reached out to Laquita, it was about 4 years ago. And of course I was at home trying to find some project to do. And I saw this little farm come up for sale, and I said, hey, Steve's, he refs college women's basketball. So he was out at a game, and I said, why don't you go with me to go look at this farm in Bixby, Oklahoma? And she said, sure, which is, but again, it makes us great partners, but she said, sure, I'll go. And so it was locked up, and what did we do? We climbed through the fence. We trespassed, we climbed through the fence, and because the house set so far off the property, I was like, I don't see anybody here. They said it was vacant, and so we kind of wandered around and we talked about it, because I knew that anything I would do substantially that big, it would involve, need to involve her, because you can't, you have to have people that will stay and hold things together while you're pursuing something else.
With the orange collar? Yeah, dude, this cat I found at my pool, at my apartment pool. Yeah, I texted my mom after she said, we're not taking any more cats. And I had to rescue this cat, dude. I brought it to the farm, and then once that happened, I knew my mom wasn't gonna be able to say no. And coincidentally, my mom's like, this is the coolest cat we have. And yeah, I guess from what my mom says, he's got some character to him.
Everybody, what you've been rooting in.
Oh, my sweet baby girl.
Welcome to the farm.
Your ride awaits.
Okay, I thought that was my music.
How are you guys doing?
You're wonderful.
Yeah, we're
We are in late spring, or not, we're not even late spring, are we? Early spring? Early spring, so yes, we've got lots of things blooming right now. Still a little bit of the trees have not, you know, they're still dormant. Here's our main tour. So basically, this is where Steve and I have been nesting for the last couple of years while we've been working on the farm and getting things ready. And Oak Grove Farms is not a marijuana farm. And true story, we actually had an armored truck that contacted us to bring us a bunch of cash, and they confused us with another farm that was called Oaky Grown, but we should just taken the cash and maybe, you know, they wouldn't have noticed, I don't know. But we are basically an Airbnb, and we house many people that are all over the region here, from Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, some locals. We have several animals on property that people can enjoy and have a true hands-on experience here at the farm. This is basically the child of Clean Freaks, because without having our team of people to make this happen, this would not be possible. So right now, our first stop is going to be our new area, and excuse, that's a couple of the dogs there that are barking. But it started out with just this critter coop, and what that housed was the overflow of kittens and really adult cats, actually, barn cats that we had, so that whenever they came out of their 3-week quarantine and were released onto the property as barn cat, they had a safe place, another safe place to go. It also houses some of the critters that are wildlife, such as possums. So I have actually some funny videos of some possums that have come in here, especially in the winter time. And then it's going to be the new home to 3 goats that are coming tomorrow, which is kind of just back here. I got her, Wrigley. We have 2 rescue dogs, and then our own dog named Wrigley. And then we have our new goat house that was just built a few days ago. So the goats will have the run of this area back here, but until they get comfortable enough to where we can release them out into the main pasture area so they can roam and hang out. So, and all of our animals, we sort of rotate them so that they can have free range and they're not just stuck in pens all day. So over to our right is our front pasture, and we rotate our animals from the front to the back, and then they have a middle section area that's kind of more of a dry lot. But we've got our alpacas and llamas that are grazing, and we've got our mini donkeys and pony. To the left here, hi bud. You're such a pretty boy. This is just a little biology kind of thing. He had one of his testicles was lodged up into his abdomen, and we had to have surgery for him to be able to be fixed. So all of our animals, all of our males have been, we don't breed or do anything like that, but they've been spayed or neutered. Here we're coming up to the main part of the house. This is the main house, so we call it, but this is the area that is rented out. When we have people that come as guests, really what they're doing is they help fund having all the animals here, because it is incredibly expensive to pay for all the vet bills, house them, feed them, and just the maintenance of the animals. And most of our people now are booking again and again, which is awesome, so that they feel like this is like their home away from home. And that's really what we set up to do, is that people can come here, instead of buying their own farm and having to maintain everything, we take care of all of that. And when they come time and time again, we actually have pictures of families and couples that have come and stayed, and we have them on the wall, so when they come back they feel like they're part of this whole thing that we're doing here. This is just kind of our hangout area, where we have our hot tub and swimming pool and fire pit, outdoor TV. But in this area, this has been the alpaca llama area over the winter, and so now we are in the process of cleaning it. So there's lots of cleaning that goes on around here. Steve does the majority of all of that, thank God. So we're always constantly cleaning and reorganizing, and then it's cleaning and feeding and reorganizing, and then the circle goes on and on and on, and it always will. But we've got a couple of barn cats up here that are just chilling out. And Roscoe, this is Dolly, like Dolly Parton. And Roscoe. A lot of people ask what kind of cow Roscoe is, and he is a Highland, Scottish Highland. As you can see in this area, this has just been from months of layering with hay when they've been fed. So we moved our hay bale to the left. The pigs love this area to root in, and that will be cleaned up. So it's a mess. Perfect for a clean freak. Hi, Bella. What you doing? Without Steve. And also, like I said, with our team, because when I'm away from Clean Freaks, this is what I'm doing. And Steve takes care of all of the maintenance. Would you say you're the official pooper scooper? And so whenever I'm away from here, Steve takes care of all the things that are here at the farm. So we have our main guest house right here. This was a shed at one time, and so what we did was we finished out the interior. It's nothing super fancy, but we just kind of did it on a budget. Has like a little off-grid bathroom. This has housed a lot of our foster kittens that we've had from various shelters and organizations. Last year we had about 30 kittens that we fostered, and they were transported to a couple of different states, which was awesome. Oh, he's a little girly. Okay, come on, it's nice out. Let's go outside for a minute. That's Baby Lee.
Baby Lee.
Baby Lee. And somehow I think that they know that they've probably been rescued or something goes on, because then I have Pete, the other cat, who was rescued from Colby, and it was funny because when he called me, he said, "Isn't this what you do, Mom? Isn't you rescue animals?" And I said, "Well, no, not. I mean, I do, but I don't. We're not really set up that way, but it's just a labor of love. And how can you say no sometimes?" Okay, girl. Or you want to follow us?
It's my peaceful place.
Yeah.
You know, I come out here all the time. Love to bring Daisy out here. My best friend, pet sets when Tracy and Steve travel. And I come out with her and watch her go around in the ice and the snow, and busted my butt over there right in the middle of the hay, and I have pictures of me with all. So I've experienced all of it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm really going through a hard time, this is my go-to place.
Bo and Luke were my first farm pets that I got. They came to the farm when they were 5 weeks old, and now they are you guys 3.5 years old? Well, you're 3 years old. And Bo now is probably 225 pounds-ish. We're looking forward to everything blooming out here. It seems like every day we have some new things blooming. This tree just bloomed. This is the part of the property that it's hard to grow grass because there's so much rock back here. And all the rock and things you see are things that have been excavated when we were doing projects. These are the animals' pens. Again, the other pigs are actually out running around out here. Bo and Luke probably have already had some time out front, which is probably why they're in their pen right now, but they get to free roam out here, so they're not just stuck in these pens all day long. When it's bad weather, of course, we put them in there. But yeah, are you guys okay back there? Okay. Girl, how are you? So yeah, are you having a wonderful time? So what she's doing is what all pigs need to do. People get little pot bellies and they think they're not going to get very big, and then I don't know what their story is, but once they get a certain size, it's harder to maintain them because they really do. They want to root, unless you have space. They want to do this and they want to root, and they need to do that because that's where they get a lot of their minerals and iron and stuff from, is from the ground. Y'all holding on now? Good. Okay, so in this space over here, we kind of created an area just to chill out, and there's like a little cabana area, a tent, canvas tent area, and an actual outhouse down here with a fire pit and some huge fire pit area over here. We have had to clear a lot of brush and things from this side of the property so that it was very, very overgrown. Oh guys, oh, he's a good in there tonight. Okay, Grumpy, this is kind of a grumpy one. This is cuter. Dog attack or something like that. They came from the animal shelter. It's hard to know. They're not like horses where you can kind of tell their age. Pigs are a little bit different, and I'm not sure how old they are, but we just committed to just giving them the best life possible as long as we can. Grumpy old man. He looks like a grumpy old man, doesn't he?